Heroes Forge, a Heroes of the Storm podcast.
Hello there, Forgers, and welcome back to the 4th episode of Heroes Forge, a community-driven podcast all about Heroes of the Storm. I'm your host, Jeff Reynolds, and today I have a huge announcement for the history of Heroes Forge. I am so lucky and so happy and proud to announce that we are finally joined by a new permanent co-host. You all know her from episode 1 of Heroes Forge. It's Kristen Ashton.
Hello, everybody. And you took the words out of my mouth, Jeff. Same to you. It's amazing to be here. So thank you so much for this honor.
Yeah, oh, the honor is all mine, and the honor is all everybody that gets to listen to all of your great, wonderful ideas and how passionate you are about this game. So I am so happy, and the future of this show is so bright.
Secured. It is secured.
It is very secured. A lot of things in life are not secured, but Heroes Forge is. So listen on. Great. So yeah, that is so awesome to have you. And you know, if this is your first time listening to Heroes Forge, the show is a community-driven podcast, meaning we want to hear everything from you guys. We take heroes from or characters from the Blizzard universe and forge them for the Nexus for use in Heroes of the Storm. We're going to come up with some wacky ideas, some really fun things that are, you know, might be a little OP, might work in the Nexus, might not, might just be for fun, and together we'll forge a hero. And you know, maybe someday it'll be used in the game.
Yep.
Maybe someday.
Maybe one day we can claim first and we can go on all the forums.
Exactly. And we'll be like, hey, we called all those abilities. We're 100% right.
It's all us. It's all us. That's it.
Right. I tweeted to Blizzard the other day and I was like, hey, do you guys need any help coming up with heroes? Because we're doing it over here on Heroes Forge, so we're done half the work for you already.
Yeah, exactly. They won't even have to hire anybody new anymore. Just
that's right.
pull from the episodes and you got yourself a hero.
That's exactly right. And today we're forging a really cool hero that is relatively new to the Nexus, or to the Blizzard universe.
That's right. She is very new. Would you like me to go into the history now, or are we waiting a little later?
Yeah, I think there's no better time. So let's go ahead and let's forge.
Let's forge.
All right, Kristen, tell us all about it.
All right, well, today, for you fine folks, we have Elise Starseeker. Known as the Cartographer, Elise Starseeker is one of the 4 members of the famed League of Explorers. Alongside human Reno Jackson, Murloc, Sir Finley Murgleton, and dwarf Bran Bronzebeard, this mysterious night elf has long worked as the brains behind the operations, leading them on countless successful expeditions. Known to be a collector of maps and charts, Starseeker is driven by the joy she feels as she rediscovers ancient artifacts so old they have become mere whispers on the lips of tavern drunkards.
Very cool. That was really good. I really like that.
Thank you.
And you know, a lot of the listeners don't know, but Elise is so new that a lot of that lore is just, you know, is brand spanking new. I mean, this is just coming out with the expansion of League of Explorers for Hearthstone. She's a Hearthstone character, and
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Kristen, but I really like the fact that they're creating new characters that don't have to do necessarily with what we know as Warcraft lore.
I agree. It really expands the universe further as well. So, and I don't think there's really ever been a nerdy, bookish night elf. Usually they're warrior women.
That's right. Yeah, so they're being very diverse in this fact too, I think. You can be a night elf and still be a nerdy, you know, explorer in the same respect, I think.
And she wears glasses too, so she has some physical limitations as well, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah, that is really interesting, and I like that. And this is definitely, I really enjoyed the League of Explorers expansion for Hearthstone. I'm a casual Hearthstone player. I'm not like the guys over at the Angry Chicken, you know, where they play constantly all the time.
Oh
and
my
they're
goodness.
battling for legend, you know, those guys are great. But I really enjoy the adventures in the game because that's where I shine, because I like to build specific decks to try to beat the bosses of the dungeons and things. And some of the pathway that we thought it was going to go with all of these different dungeons and raid bosses, and then when they threw this at us at BlizzCon, because you were there too, right? Mm-hmm. It was just out of left field that they were going to bring out these characters no one had ever heard of, that they had created specifically for this. And it shows me that they are committed to this game just as much as any other game.
Certainly, and it certainly shows they're willing to expand into different sci-fi/fantasy universes, because this is clearly Indiana Jones influenced.
Right.
There's no question in my mind.
They know their target audience. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because this is definitely Indiana Jones, influence, just like you said. That's totally true.
Now,
so,
how was Elise's wing? I never actually got to play her.
She basically plays through the entire. She's basically, like you said in your intro of Elise, is she's pulling you through the story. She's like the leader of the League of Explorers.
Gotcha.
She's telling you the story as you're going through. You're fighting these wizards. You're attempting to escape from dungeons, and it's really cool. And did you get a chance to play the Dungeon Escape at BlizzCon when they previewed it there?
No, I didn't. How did that go? Was there a minecart ride? That's the important question.
Exactly. Shorty was driving the car with a wooden block taped to his shoe. No, but it was a completely different way to play because, we're used to playing Hearthstone in the respect of it's 1v1, you're battling a boss in any of these adventures, but in this rendition of it, you're actually escaping and you have to last for 10 turns, I believe it is. Oh. So you have to do a whole bunch of different things that you wouldn't normally do, and you're faced with choices. It'll pop up and it'll say, do you want to take the left tunnel or the right tunnel?
Oh,
and
no way!
Exactly Indiana Jones influence. Just as I'm speaking about it right now to you, I'm realizing, oh, that's exactly a ripoff from Temple of Doom. Yeah. So it was different. So if you're listening to the show out there and you haven't yet played League of Explorers, I think you can buy it with gold in the game, but you should just pay whatever it is. I think it's $10 to have a really good time and meet these awesome characters, including Elise Starseeker for League of Explorers, which we'll be forging for the Nexus today. So this is a spoiler alert, I guess. She has a story in the game. We're not going to give anything away that happens in the actual game, I don't believe, but if you haven't played it and you want to save surprises for later, definitely go play it and then come on back to episode 4 here and listen to it there. But let's go ahead and get started. So the way we usually start is we're going to talk about the hero's role, the classification in the game that we think Elise should be. And I have an idea, but it's a little different, so I want to hear your idea first.
Okay, first, we're talking about the role. And I came up with support, because her entire biography is about her looking at maps and cartography. So support in the fact that she is a battlefield strategist and she is big with that hero placement.
Exactly. I went support, and I was thinking, oh, I don't think she's going to go support because, when we think of heroes like Tassadar, they get a bad rap sometimes because they're not that, single, healing support like Uther or even Lieutenant Morales or anything like that. So I was afraid to put support. So I put support/specialist because I was like, maybe Kristen won't go with that. So
well, we need to remember that we do need supports in the game. And when you're an amazing Tassadar or you're an amazing Tyrande, I mean, Tyrande was the meta, and she's not even a full support in the sense of Lee or Malfurion.
Yes, that is so true, and I didn't even think of that completely as I was doing this. So there's different ways to support, I think, is what we're trying to say. So great. So we'll agree on that. It's a support character for us. And what about the passive ability? What were you thinking for her passive ability?
Okay, for her passive, her trait, I went with something called cartography, and it's basically the fact that she has a command of map skills and placement acumen that allows her to reposition friendly units. So it's not something you activate, but it's the fact that she can control placement.
Oh, so you're saying she can control placement of the fellow team members?
Yes, and potentially enemies as well. This was an idea I got from an old D&D character. I was a tiefling warlord, and the whole point of the warlord is you use this really long weapon stick to basically reposition your teammates, or you just yell at them and they move 2 spaces.
Oh, so warlord kind of like. Have you played Dragon Age Inquisition?
Yes.
Yeah, so you're standing at that table, and basically you see that in all the Game of Thrones, and you see it in all those games where they're moving the pieces around.
Exactly.
So is that kind of what you're thinking? She would have the ability to do that?
Yep.
That's really cool. I had something that was a little similar. I had it was called the Cartographer, which you mentioned was what she's better known as, better than Elise. It's like her nickname, like Indiana.
The dog's name was Indiana.
The dog's name was you call him Dr. Jones. Elise has the ability to recruit a minion to become a member of the League of Explorers. This minion does not attack, but can move from location to location and give sight to friendly heroes.
Oh.
Yeah, so basically the thought I had was the minion was making a map of the area. So it wouldn't attack. You could place it kind of like a wisp from Lunara, and you can move it around, and it would do that. So I'm thinking maybe we could add that in later if one of our abilities, you know, doesn't really fit in, because I really like your passive, because that's so different than what.
And using the minion for sight would be genius.
Yeah, and I was thinking like you could have a huge like army of them. No, it'd be give and take though, because if you take a minion out of fighting, you're going to be, you know, down a minion.
That's true, in a lane pushing, yeah, so you need to make sure that's covered. Also, would it be timed? Would it be permanent?
I was thinking it would be permanent until it was destroyed, and the enemy team could see that it was in place. You know how if you take a watchtower, you can see that it's been taken, and it's like under control of the enemy? Can you see the wisps? The
as
Lunara
an enemy?
Wisps? Yeah, as an enemy.
Yes, you can.
Okay, so it'd be the same kind of thing as that then.
All I can see is this tiny group of little minions that have went into a bush, and some enemy walks into them, surprised by little gnome men.
Yeah, and you know that if they got taken over by Elise, they'd get like a League of Explorers outfit.
Well, of course. Like someone's got a whip, another one's got a little pistol.
Rocking a top hat, or like an Indiana Jones cap or something like that. That'd be really cool. Speaking of, I hadn't thought of this until you just brought that up, but what kind of attacks do you think Elise does? Is she a ranged attacker for her basic attacks? Is she, you know, a melee attacker, or does that play into what you have later on?
I think on the spot she would probably be ranged, and she'd probably throw compasses.
Yeah,
sharpened compasses.
Compasses or artifacts, you know, just like crappy artifacts she might find.
Picks a tile up off of the Sky Temple floor. That's an artifact, right?
Right.
Sky Temple's ancient.
That's good. Oh man, I'm sure they wouldn't be too happy in Sky Temple. The Guardians would not be too happy with them destroying the map, I'm sure. They'd
be angry. You'd probably have to have a debuff for doing what she would do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So we'll go with your passive ability, and we'll hang on to mine just in case it shows up maybe later in heroics or something. We can make it even cooler. So great. So we got the support category for the role, and the passive ability cartographer, and so mounting, this is when we would normally talk about the mounting ability. When we forged the Dark Wanderer, we talked about portals and transporting ourselves. But Elise, I feel like, is going to be like at the end of The Last Crusade, riding off on the horse. What do you think?
Oh, just a regular horse. I thought something wacky, because we've got floating coins. So why not have a floating compass with a point that always points north? So no matter...
Exactly. So she would ride a normal mount, but she would have a specialty mount, which would be a compass.
Now, question 2. Now that we know that Li Ming rides side saddle, would Elise ride side saddle? I personally don't think so, because she's sporting pants there. But
I'm going to say she's definitely a normal ride. She'd ride it normal, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, because, you know, Jaina, they're a little dainty, even though they're not dainty in the game. I'm not saying, you know, that they're dainty in the game, but It's riding its side
They
saddle
are
is
ladies.
a little ladylike, where I think Elise might be a little more of a tomboy and ride it like the other League of Explorers. I see her riding next to Reno Jackson and Bran, you know, and they're riding off into the sunset. And
Now, do they have to help Bran get on the horse?
oh, definitely.
He's got his little step stool they have to bring everywhere.
Right. Yes, I think that's a very good thought, and that's really deep lore, Kristen. I really like that you think of it.
It
like
has
that.
to be answered, you know?
It
People need to know what kind of
All
dwarf
questions must be answered. I agree. Cool. Okay, so let's go into the basic abilities here. So my Q ability idea for Elise was something called Forgotten Torch, which is actually a card from the expansion. And the way that the card works in the game is that you toss this torch at an opponent, whether it's a minion or the hero, and it does 3 damage. And then you put the card back in your deck, and I believe it does 6 damage if you draw it again.
Oh, wow.
So it increases. So my idea for Elise was she wields a torch that she can toss at enemies, doing damage to them on contact. The torch then sticks into the ground and gives sight to friendly heroes for a short duration. And then I thought it'd be also cool if the torch would detect stealthed heroes.
Oh, and that would work too, because even though they're stealth, they would technically have a shadow, right?
Right. Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. So she can have her compasses that she's tossing in the offhand, and then I think she would just be carrying this torch. Talking about the silhouette, like we talked about on the Dark Wanderer episode, we have to give Elise the idea of a silhouette that would be easily recognizable, right, in the game. So if she was just carrying a torch for the whole game, and then her Q ability was she could just, pelt people with this torch too, and then it would also give sight in that area and reveal stealthies.
Yeah. Now, would it do area of effect damage if it lands in a bunch of minions? Like it would spread from one to the other?
I think maybe you could spec into that.
Okay. Yeah.
So what was your idea for Q?
Mine was called Hurry Up, and it grants a speed boost to fellow teammates or slows target enemy.
Ooh, I like that, because that's along the support lines too. Because that's giving them a speed boost. Both of these, there's 2 different ways we can go with the support here.
I know. I don't really know if we're going to be able to trade these out at all, because they're just so different.
They're all so good. We're just pros.
Perfect.
On the first time working together as co-hosts, we just aced it.
A+.
A+.
Night, everyone. We'll see y'all later.
Good night.
Good stream.
Show's over. No, I like both of those. So let's just keep it there. Let's just keep both of those. Maybe you spec into that on your first choice.
Oh.
Like on your first choice, you have to choose whether you want to be able to buff your teammates or provide more sight.
Yeah.
Maybe you're playing against Nova and Zeratul.
Well, there we go. And sight would be necessary.
Yeah, that happens to me way too often. I can't lie. When I was writing this about the stealth heroes, I was like, oh man, if I just have an opportunity to gank a Nova, I'm gonna take it. So so that's what I was thinking.
And I mean, Tassadar has that reveal that, that's so powerful. So you can imagine just chucking a torch.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's say that's your, for the lack of us not wanting to choose one of these awesome abilities, we'll say you choose that maybe at level 1. You go in the game, and then you've got to make that decision right when you get in. It's pretty cool. And then W. What'd you have for an idea for W?
All right, W, I had move it. Physically shifts teammates' position in any direction within a radius. So it would be a circle, and then anywhere within that circle, you could shift a single teammate.
Ooh. Now, do you choose the direction that they're going?
Yes, you choose exactly where they go. So this hero that I envisioned would need total team support and total team understanding of what she does.
Exactly, because I can imagine a whole bunch of quick match scenarios here where I'm getting shoved around.
Exactly, or somebody's trolling you and they're putting you in a bad position.
Oh,
but I thought because sometimes tanks just can't quite get in front of somebody to body block. So what if you had a hero that could get the tank into that perfect body block position?
Right, or you see a triple tap coming in, you want to move ETC right in front of that, because they're not paying attention or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And that plays into our passive ability, obviously, the ability to move other heroes.
Yeah.
So my idea was called Jeweled Scarab, which is another card from Hearthstone. And I imagined it kind of like the Mummy. You know those scarabs? Have you seen the Mummy?
Oh, how many times have I seen the Mummy? Let's see here. We could probably recite it from memory if asked.
I think the films progressively get worse and worse and worse, but the first Mummy is very good.
Yes, the first one. If you haven't seen it, go see it.
But the Jeweled Scarab in my idea here, Elise pulls out a jewel in the shape of a scarab, kind of like in the Mummy, and she throws it on the ground like she's throwing everything else. It comes to life and travels in a straight line and then attaches to an enemy hero.
Oh.
So when it's attached, it allows the friendly team to track the location of that hero.
Oh, now would they be screaming the whole way?
Yes, and clawing at their skin.
Okay. We need a special animation. That would be really cool. And then how long do you think that track would go on for?
So I was thinking until they were hit by an additional attack from our team.
Oh.
So if they get hit by a merc, it stays on. If they get hit by a minion, it stays on. You can't swing and destroy it like, you know, if you're trying to destroy the creep from, what am I thinking of?
Zagara?
Zagara, yeah. If you're trying to destroy the creep, it wouldn't be like that, but you would have to get hit. So there would be some sort of strategy on both sides of this, like, oh, I got hit by the scarab, I got to stay away from everyone else, or hey, let's lure them over here and then get into a big team fight. And then on the other end, you're thinking, don't attack them until we know where we can go and what we can do and how to get there.
Now, too, also, would only one scarab be able to be attached to a hero at a time? Because as funny as that would be to see 5 different heroes running around on a map, that might be a tad OP. Maybe level 20.
So at level 20, you just unleash scarabs, like in the Mummy. It's just like a giant March of the Murlocs, but all scarabs.
No,
I think you're right. I think you'd have to have one active, and it would have to have a pretty significant cooldown. And I think it has to be a pretty quick skill shot in order to make it, you know, not so OP. Because you got to land it, and then if you land it, maybe it'll have a timer on it too. It would have a timer on it. That's for Blizzard to figure out.
That's true. These are just general ideas. We're not getting into the actual coding or anything like that.
And it has 33.3% of.
I'm a mathematician. We're just going for flowery descriptions.
Cool. Again, I like both of these ideas, though. I think they're really good.
Yeah.
Why don't we move your W into part of the passive, right? So we make that, because some heroes even have a T ability. Is it on T usually if they have something super special that they can do?
Oh, for their trait, if it's activated, it's usually on D.
D. So we could put it on D, your thing. Cool, let's do that, because that's kind of fun, and then we get to keep everything. We can let them balance that every other Wednesday.
It's the hero with the most abilities that's ever been crafted before.
Right.
Amazing.
Okay, cool. Let's move to E, because this is a blast. We're got some really, really good ideas. So what's your thought on E?
All right, E is halt. As you see, all of these are orders with the whole warlord thing going on. And halt freezes a target hero in place, be they friend or foe.
Ooh. So it freezes them like stasis, or they just can't move?
Oh, yeah, I guess I should clarify that. They can't move. So kind of like Thrall's wolf. Okay.
Cool. So you're stuck there, and you can do everything that you could do before, but you just can't move.
Correct.
Ooh, that would be good on both ends of that.
Exactly. You could use it to help your team run away, which I thought that would be very, very powerful. But then I thought, what if you have a Lunara who's getting a bit too close for comfort? And, you know, Lunara, just hold it right there. Just relax, take a breather, we'll get you healed up, and you can rejoin the fight.
Right. We know you can't stutter step, so you're just going to stay right there.
Exactly, exactly. So give a very skilled hero who knows great map awareness and positioning a bit more control when it comes to the tide of battle.
Yeah, I like that a lot because I run into that, and I'm sure a lot of people out there do. People are overstepping their bounds. You know, I would be a liar if I said I didn't sometimes chase when I didn't want to chase,
Fair enough,
or I shouldn't be chasing.
I think we're all guilty of that. And then, I mean, too, how many Kael'thasses think they should be a front linesman?
Oh.
And you're like, no, no, oh, okay, Kael'thas.
Yeah, I was like that at the beginning.
I think we all are. I'm a principal. I'm a hero, right?
That's right. Just destroyed. I'm telling you, just destroyed.
Yeah.
Cool. So mine actually kind of has the same thought in a way. I called mine Entomb.
Ooh.
And Elise has the ability to transport a mercenary camp to a different mercenary camp location.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So the camps don't take damage from the transfer.
Okay.
But they begin to fight each other, which starts lowering both of their health points, kind of like the immortals fighting each other.
Yeah, so you'd transport the giants into the knights and they fight each other?
Right, so they're fighting each other.
Jeez.
It doesn't give you any sort of buff other than your thought of where you're going to place them. So you're going to put them on your side, and then they're going to start fighting each other. And then any heroes can come in at that point and take advantage of the lower level mercenaries.
Oh, that would be fantastic.
Also probably OP and more of a heroic ability now that I'm talking it out. But I thought that would be really cool because how many times are you in a game and you're looking at it and you're just thinking, that camp is too far away, and then people are going, and then with your thought where you're like, hey, you halt, don't go over there, we're not going to do that right now.
Yep.
But so I was thinking the same kind of way, like, oh, we're going to pull these guys over here, and we're going to let them fight for a little bit, and then when that happens, the enemy team would be notified, like, ding, those guys have been moved to over here.
Oh,
and then they're gonna,
so you'd have a very limited time.
so they're going to see that too, and they're going to say, oh, crap, we got to get over there so that we don't lose two camps at once.
Oh.
And then team fight. And
Yeah, and then, okay, so giants are now fighting knights. Would the giants, as soon as they die, their camp be able to be grabbed?
oh, you mean like up there?
Yes.
So like on their original pad?
Yes.
Oh, that might make it good, because then that would force you to split.
Exactly, and then it wouldn't be too OP because the enemy team could then take advantage of the fact that, well, there aren't any giants there anymore. You just got to wait for them to die.
Right. And then you would want to keep team members up there so that you could steal that camp too.
Yeah.
Ooh, either way, I like that. Maybe that's something you spec into to get them to both ping down at the one that you kill them on.
Yeah. And definitely Sylvanas friendly.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely made my Sylvanas heart skip a little beat there. That would be incredible. Just all of the mercenaries lined up for death.
Oh, for sure. Do you play a lot of Sylvanas?
Oh, she's one of my level 10s.
Oh,
Maybe,
good for you.
maybe level 11? Level 10. Level 10.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I love Sylvanas. So that would be a good combo wombo right there.
Yes.
Rocking them both up. I think that's a good idea. Okay, cool. Let's go with Entomb on that one then. Let's go with the transporting and then talking about, you know, talents and all of that kind of stuff after. That is some really, really good basic abilities. But it is now time, Kristen, to talk about the best abilities.
Yes.
The heroics.
Heroic.
So, the heroics, I really, really think mine are OP. So I want to hear yours first, because I tried to go with Hearthstone references with Elise and all that. But so let's hear one of yours first.
Okay. All right, so this first one stuck with the whole ordering idea
Right?
called Get Back, and you can reposition the entire team, blinking everyone within a specific range to the location of Elise's choosing.
That's really in the lore too, because I mean,
Really?
She's definitely the leader of this group, and when she attacks in the game, she says "Get back!" You know, as her hero attacks, she says "Get back!"
Yes.
She's not the strongest, which I think we are in Hearthstone. She doesn't have the strongest body, so I think we've really played with the lore on this. So I really like that idea. So you're basically. Are you only able to move? You choose the direction that you're able to move.
Exactly. And as long as everybody is within this huge radius that you have, everyone can shift. So it's kind of like Tyranda's ultimate, I forget, it's not Starfall, it's the other one.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, where you go invisible. So I envision it very, very much like that, but instead of just going invisible and getting a minor buff, you move. Oh, and could you imagine if you're trying to get the final few heroes of an enemy team that was running away, and you just teleport in front of them and...
Yeah, because Elise is obviously, in my mind, going to be a squishy hero.
Yes.
I mean, she's not wearing a whole bunch of armor. Khakis and, a button-down are not super armor.
Fair enough.
But,
I mean, if we add the leather jacket, she can probably then punch like a tank, but that's only with the leather jacket.
Right. She can punch a tank. But maybe that's her level 20, level trait, leather jacket, and then she just gains a whole bunch of HP. Mm-hmm. So
she gets her little fedora on, and
that's right.
You get the rip-off Indiana Jones music playing in the background.
That's right. The League of Explorers soundtrack, which sounds identical to Indiana Jones.
Are a few ideas?
Yeah, right. So I love that. I love that idea, and moving people around, especially on my level of play this game. People don't know their positioning, don't know what's going on, and I can imagine that if the game ever had a I forget what they call it in other games, but like a commander mode or whatever it was, she would be a great hero to do that too, because she could, with all these things we're talking about, move people around and then have the ability to also issue orders via chat, like, okay guys, that was not a great engagement, that's why I got us out of there. It's a great idea. So my idea, going off of the in-game stuff, is something called the Staff of Origination, which is in the game, and it's the artifact that you're looking for the entire time. Yeah. So instead of her, if you were to take this heroic ability, your compasses that we talked about, I guess, would change into the staff, and then you would become a melee hero instead of a ranged hero. So you gain a staff that switches Elise to a melee hero. The staff has a charging ability that while it's charging, Elise becomes invulnerable. That's part of the game where you're fighting the Rafam, who's like this he's the supreme archaeologist in the game. Oh, and he's stolen this staff, and when you're fighting him, you can't do any damage to him while he's charging his staff.
Oh no.
Then it unleashes a whole bunch of minions, or a really super strong minion. So I thought, while Elise is charging, she's invulnerable, but when the charging is completed, the staff summons a unique mercenary to fight for your team. Sort of like a the Nazebo, the witch doctor, how he summons the gargantuan.
Yes.
An idea of something like that, where it was a mercenary but themed to League of Explorers.
Yes. Now, would it summon directly where she is, or could she pick where the gargantuan summons?
Oh, yeah, I would say she could pick where. Kind of in the same vein of the gargantuan.
Yeah.
Where, she's going to aim the staff over there, and then I would imagine that she could not move, and maybe she could even be stunned out of it.
Fair enough.
So she's charging, the thing, and she could get stunned out of it, but not hurt. And then she, summons this unique mercenary to fight, too.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool idea.
Now, would the mercenary have special abilities? Or, because I could imagine you would have one that could have special abilities, and then you'd only get one. Or it doesn't have any special abilities, and you can summon as many as you can summon as quickly as possible before someone knocks you out of your staff train.
Ooh, that's cool. That's a really cool idea. I think that it would have special abilities, and to go with the theme of Hearthstone, which is so based on RNG, right? Like the game can get you in trouble when you summon your own minions sometimes, What if you could have a chance of summoning a minion that does what you don't want it to do? Like this staff is so powerful that it just summons something and you're like, oh crap, we got Ragnaros!
Oh, no!
And starts like shooting your own team or whatever,
Oh, wow, talk about a roll of the dice there.
I know. It's probably not the best idea for a hero, but I just always think about that in Hearthstone, where RNG runs so many of these games, and it's unique to Hearthstone in a card game fashion because you can't really do that RNG in the same way with like Magic or any of those other trading card games. So Yeah. So what's your other heroic ability?
Well, the other heroic I've called Ooh-ee, Ooh-ah-ah. And this one has to do with the golden monkey, since we all know she is who gives you that golden monkey. The golden monkey is unearthed to provide a shield and extra attack to all team members in range.
Love the golden monkey reference. The shield is perfect too, because when the golden monkey is put into play in the game,
yeah, you get don't you get uniques?
Yeah, you get all of your cards in your hand,
Legendaries.
and also, yeah, all of the cards in your deck are turned to legendaries.
Yes!
Yeah.
Yes, that's the whole idea. Everyone suddenly becomes legendary in their own right.
Right, and the monkey has taunt in the game, which means that you have to attack it before you can attack anything else, basically.
I love those cards.
That's a great idea. And I think we can combine our two ideas, because my heroic ability is called the Golden Monkey, which is the same. A Golden Monkey artifact is randomly placed on the battlefield in an invisible location. So it's in a bush, or it's in the smoke, or whatever, on whatever map respectable of what you're doing. If the artifact is found by any hero, it becomes active. So that's either sides.
Oh.
If it becomes active, it acts like a tribute. So it pops, right?
Yes.
So you're roaming around, even you're Abathur or something, you're roaming around and you're in all these bushes and you suddenly stumble upon the golden monkey and it becomes activated. So as it becomes activated, it has like a countdown of when it's actually going to pop. So you can see it and it shows just like a tribute. And so at whatever team collects the artifact is granted a random perk from it. So that could be what your perk is. You know, maybe you all get a shield, or you all get additional bonus stats, and that's that RNG feel. And if the team that has Elise on it finds the monkey and collects it, they get a tier 2 perk from it. So it's even better.
Okay, so it rewards the enemies, but it really, really rewards the team it belongs to. It rightfully belongs to, after all.
Right, yeah. It belongs in a museum. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
Yes, of course. But sadly, we don't have a museum map yet. And then I can imagine it's a race to get the monkey back to the pedestal.
Oh, gosh, how cool would that be? Like a capture the flag kind of thing?
Oh, that would be amazing.
And then once you put it in the pedestal, a boulder shows up and like starts chasing your whole team or the enemy team or something.
I love it.
That might be a little bit of a stretch, but I love that idea. Cool. We have too many good ideas to pick some of these good ones.
We're just going to have to, I don't know.
I think we'll just put them
retire
all
and
up.
work at Blizzard.
That's right.
We're the idea people.
Retire and go back to work
yes.
at Blizzard. I think that's a great idea. Cool. So just to review, we've got some really cool stuff that we've come up with. She's going to be a support. She has the cartographer ability to be able to move heroes around on your team. Maybe you could even spec into that to be able to move enemy heroes around to different locations. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
Oh, being able to control the enemy team would be fantastic.
Yeah, even if it wasn't like massive, you know, if you had a Nova on your team, you were ready to go and you're like, okay, get ready to triple tap. I'm going to put this, you know, this character right in a space where they can't get away or something like that.
Yeah.
And then her mount, she's going to ride normal mounts, but she'll have a specialty one that's maybe like a floating compass or, you know, that points in the direction of what you want most, like Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, there we go. There we go. We'll just throw in everything that had a compass. The golden compass, we'll get some symbology thrown in as well.
That's right. I love it. And then talking about Forgotten Torch and the Jeweled Scarab and the ability to move your team out, to get out of the way, or get back. And then everybody moves around. The Entomb ability to be able to move mercenaries to different places on the map. The Golden Monkey, the artifacts that are going to give your team buffs and all that really cool stuff. And we even talked about the Staff of Origination, being able to summon more mercenaries for the fight, maybe unique mercenaries that you've never even seen before.
Legendary monsters from the Blizzard universe.
Oh, so cool. Yeah, it doesn't even have to be related to Hearthstone.
No.
Like you could summon in some crazy stuff from WoW or even Diablo.
Get Belial from the ground with his creepy arms, just
Oh, yeah.
smacking everyone. It's the worst boss fight ever.
How cool would it be if the it's the worst boss fight ever?
I love that boss fight. It's hard. It's probably the hardest boss fight, but I love
It's
it.
very hard. Oh my gosh. But yeah, you're right. His little T-Rex arms coming out. I love that. The idea I just had for Staff of Origination is, what if it summoned another random computer-controlled hero for a certain amount of time? So it's a hero from the game.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about OP.
Oh, unless it's Abathur.
That's right.
Who then quickly specs into copy here, or what is it?
Oh.
What is the name?
I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Ultimate
Yes,
Evolution.
thank you, Ultimate Evolution, and copies another hero. But the other team has an Abathur.
That's right, 7v5, and then they copy into another one, and then they make copies of copies. And they go.
And then it's just a slap fest. All Abathurs all the time.
That's right. Just like arenas. You know you're going to see that in arena.
I saw lots of Valas. I was in a Vala 10v10.
Oh, I was in a Vala, 5 Valas. No, it was 4 Valas and a Mirrodin versus 4 Valas and a Karazim. I don't know what the programmers were thinking there, but I was on the Mirrodin side of that, and it was just a blast. It's a wacky way to play that game. It's really cool. Okay, great. So I think we've done it, Kristen. We have forged Elise.
HeroesForge.
Hearthstone is a game that I play a lot of because it's something you can pick up. You know, you can play it on your phone. And like I said at the beginning of the show, I am so happy that they're building their own lore to be able to. I mean, they're really doing themselves a favor for creating more heroes to put into different games, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a really, really cool thing. So at this point in the show, I want to thank everybody for listening to it. We're just getting off the ground here at HeroesForge. Like I said, I'm super excited to have Kristen as our new permanent co-host for the show. We're going to be coming live at you every Sunday. Today's a little different because of conflicts. We're broadcasting on a Tuesday, but we're going to be coming live at you every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time on twitch.tv/HeroesForge. There you can catch us live. Jump in the chat room and start throwing us your ideas for heroes as we're talking about it. You know, you could have been in there saying, "Oh, Entomb, that's a horrible idea. Go with Kristen's idea." Or, you know, "Oh, Staff of Origination, that's so cool."
Only positivity is what we demand from the chat.
Only positivity. Right. So yeah, so we really encourage everybody to jump in. Again, this is a community-driven podcast. That's the way we want it to be. We wanted to build a huge community that we can all forge heroes for the Nexus together. So if you have an idea for a hero that you'd like to be forged for the Nexus, send it our way. Email it to us at contactheroesforge@gmail.com. We'll read through the emails and we'll get to as many of those as we can. I mean, there are hundreds of thousands of characters that we can make for the Nexus, and that's what's so exciting about this podcast, right?
Yep, you want that barrel that you destroyed at the bottom of the Tristram dungeon in Diablo 1, we've got it.
We've got it. We've got every book from, you know, the Cathedral in Tristram. We're going to forge all of those books. They're all going to have different abilities.
The exploding barrel, the trapped chest.
That's right.
All covered.
And in all seriousness, if anybody wanted to see that, we would have fun doing that too. So let us know your ideas. Again, that's contactheroesforge@gmail.com for more on that. Also, if you want updates on what's going on with HeroesForge, when we're recording, what heroes we're recording, who might be guest appearing on the show, we have some great guests that are coming up, Twitch streamers that Kristen and I are going to interview on the show and see what their ideas are. Last week we had Abathur1613 on the show, and he gave us a great rundown of what he thought the Overmind would be, and that was a blast. But all of those updates are going to come through our Twitter account, which is @ForgeHeroes. That's @FORGE Heroes, HEROES. And so we'll be updating that too. with a whole bunch of information. And of course, we're on YouTube. You can check us out at youtube.com/HeroesForge, where all of our VODs of all of the recordings that we do can be found there. And the best way to listen to the show is actually on iTunes. You can find our audio recording on iTunes. It's updated as soon as the show goes live. So if you're in a long commute, you know, driving to work every day, and you need about a short little podcast to listen on your way to work, and you're a fan of Heroes, you definitely should head over to iTunes, listen to the show, and if you like it, go ahead and give it a 5-star review so that we can get more people out there listening to Heroes Forge and getting in on all the fun forging. Great. Kristen, where can people find you on the interwebs?
People can find me in a number of places, the main place being Twitter at Dream Destroyer, and that's DRMDESTRYR. There's also my YouTube, Dream Destroyer, and my website, my blog, my fitness blog, rippedforblizzcon.weebly.com, where every Sunday I update with an article about general fitness tips and how to stay motivated, how to eat right, and how to get ripped.
That's right. Getting ripped for BlizzCon.
I mean, we're how many months away now are we?
Oh, too long.
It's November, so that's what, 9 months away?
Yep, we're not about 9 months away. You want to start looking good in about, 9 months, buying some new clothes, maybe getting ready to go out to Anaheim for BlizzCon.
Exactly.
So it's a good time to start.
Exactly, and it's the best time too because this is the bulking time. This is when you eat as much as you possibly can to put on muscle. The cutting is the hard part. A lot of people don't actually stop the bulking.
That's right.
Myself included.
Oh, yeah, I'm one of those people. I'll tell you that much, yeah. But talking about BlizzCon, I'm telling you, if you're listening through the show and you haven't been to BlizzCon, last year was the first year I had the pleasure of going, start saving your pennies now because it's worth every single cent to be able to go out there and to meet. That's where I met you, Kristen.
Yeah.
We met over at BlizzCon, and you never know what happens with these great communities of these games, and hopefully we can build a community that strong with Heroes Forge too, and see you all at BlizzCon in 9 months, and we will all be ripped like like the Dark Knight. I'm telling you, I'm gonna walk in there like the Dark Knight and be like,
oh my goodness, Christian Bale is the epitome of how I want to be able to alter how my body looks. Unfortunately, he's a male, so of course the look is very different between what's ripped for females and what's ripped for males, but man, he's dedicated.
He's a buff guy. He's definitely, and like you said, dedicated. He changes with whatever film he has to do.
Yeah.
I mean, that is dedication.
Yeah, and I think for the Dark Knight, he had gone from the Machinist, where he weighed something like 120 pounds, and then put on over 100 pounds.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's commitment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely check out Rip for BlizzCon, Kristen's blog, because it's a great read, and it's inspiring too. So I've read a bunch of it, and I really, really enjoy it. So check it out over there. And also, like I said, Heroes Forge is just getting off the ground here. If you'd like to support Heroes Forge, you can find us at patreon.com/HeroesForge. Patreon is a website that you can go to, and you can actually help support shows like Heroes Forge, and there's a ton of other shows over there that are worth supporting. And just like them, we have some goals that we're looking forward to. Once we get enough supporters, we can have more shows. We can forge Battlegrounds someday. We can have, a whole bunch of different things that Kristen and I are chatting about that we're going to come up with. I
might draw stick figures. Get some art.
We'll draw buff stick figures for you, and a flipbook Christian Bale stick figure where it starts out really skinny, and by the end of the book, it's gained 120 pounds.
Exactly.
I think there we go. That's one of our Patreon goals. So head over to patreon.com/HeroesForge if you'd like to support the show. It's been awesome doing this first co-host episode with you, Kristen, and I'm stoked to do another one this Sunday.
Heck yes, I am too, and thank you so much for having me. And chat, you're amazing.
Yes.
Love you guys. Thanks for coming out and watching the live show. This has been great.
Yes, chat, thank you so much, and hopefully we can triple and quadruple the amount of people in chat and get everybody in on the forging. But until then, we will see you all in the real world.